Hi, ENGLISHERA here and welcome back to ENGLISHERA Talks. If you're planning to study or work in Canada, this episode would be helpful for you to know what are the things you need to consider before going to Canada. We invited Teacher Paul to give us some more information about life in Canada.
Hi, I'm Paul Duke. I'm an English tutor and instructor in Vancouver, Canada.
Teacher Paul is an English educator from Canada and is also a content creator of his YouTube channel Hard Boiled English, on which he helps you solve some tricky parts of English. As a native Canadian himself, what are his pieces of advice before you study or work in Canada? So hello, Teacher Paul, and welcome to ENGLISHERA Talks. We're so happy to have you here. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. It's quite an honor. Very excited to chat with you.
Yeah, me too. So our viewers are actually curious about you. Could you tell us about yourself?
Well, now I'm an online English coach, tutor, instructor. I also have a YouTube channel called Hard Boiled English. And on that channel, I have a video series called English Weirdness that has animations and dramatization and explanations about the confusing parts of English. But I also host a weekly live stream called Hard Boiled English Live on Friday nights in Canada. Well, I'm a writer. I blog. Oh, and I'm a Canadian. I live in Canada, in Vancouver on the West Coast. So basically, everything I do revolves around the English language and helping other people understand it better.
Yeah. What's your inspiration about hard-boiled English? Where did you get that from? I mean, the name.
The adjective hard-boiled basically means kind of tough and kind of determined, and it comes from old detective movies from the 1940s, Hollywood movies featuring these tough guy detectives. They called those hard-boiled detectives. And when I was developing my YouTube channel and my teaching in general, I thought, well, what could I do that's a little different? Well, before I became an English teacher, I was actually a private investigator, a kind of detective. So I thought, well, that would be kind of silly and kind of cute if I turn myself into sort of a language detective and I solve English mysteries. So I thought, okay, well, then we should call it hard-boiled English. Not that I'm some tough teacher, I'm not.
Cool. I will drop the link of his YouTube channel right there in the description box to help you, check out his channel. It's really good, and he's doing live streaming every Friday. That is 7 p.m. Canada time, so you might join him. It's for free. So going back to Teacher Paul, I'm so curious, how did you get into teaching from being a detective?
Well, I was getting very tired of that profession in the security business. Something about it never really fit me. It wasn't something I wanted to do when I was a child. But I didn't know what I wanted to do to change my career. And then I met a young lady who was studying English in Canada. She had come from Japan, and we started dating. And when we were dating, I would help her with her English homework. And she said, oh, you're really good at that. How come you're so good at that? And I thought, I wonder why. I was helping her with her homework, and I really was able to understand how to explain things. And I thought, maybe that's something I could do. So when I was 41, I went to university and studied, and 6 years later started teaching English. I had a great experience. I worked at one language school for almost 9 years, had a great time there, great experience. When I worked at the language school, yes, that's true. These were students doing a study abroad experience. And Canada is a good country for education. We have a good education system here, including the private language schools. And it's also a big part of the economy. There are a lot of schools and a lot of students come to Canada. It's a nice place to visit, I guess.
So based on your experience, you've encountered international students who are going to Canada. And I also know lots of people, I have students myself like learning English or preparing for English exams just to go to Canada. What's really the reason why are many students thinking or deciding to go to Canada?
And I don't know their reasons because everyone's got a different reason, but there are a few general reasons. One, English is the language of Canada. There's a small area of Canada that speaks French, but 90% of Canada is English. They could go to the US, they could go to Australia, they could go to England.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? Well, Canada is cheaper than England. It's a little more expensive than the US, but some people want to avoid the US because they think it's dangerous. They think everyone has guns or whatever. So a lot of parents don't want their children or their students to go to US. Canada is also famous for its nature. There's lots of beautiful nature to see here. There's lots of sightseeing. It's generally a very safe and clean place. And it has a reputation for a great education system. Now, I'm not one of these people who says Canada's the best country in the world just because I live in it.
Yeah.
Like any country in the world, Canada has problems too.
Yeah.
But one thing we do have is an education system that's very good. And also, we're a multicultural society. The whole country, the whole population is made up of people that came from other countries. So, if a student comes here, let's say they come from India, well, they can have a Canadian experience, but they can also get Korean food at the Korean market if they want, if they miss home, right?
Right.
No matter where they're from, they can find food here. They can find Turkish food, they can find Korean, Japanese, Russian food. It's all here because we're already a multicultural society. And there's one more factor that I think drives people to come here, and that is there's an idea out there that the British accent is really hard to understand, and the Australian or New Zealand accent of English is really hard to understand. And even some parts of the US, like the South or Texas, really hard to understand, but they think the Canadian English sounds kind of flat and neutral. And there might be some truth to that because Canada used to be a British colony. So our education system is based on the British education system. However, because we're right beside the US, we're influenced by the American media. So we're kind of in the middle. We have the education system from Britain and the kind of flat accent from American TV, kind of the California neutral accent. So all of those things come together and make Canada a pretty good place to study English. I think the other thing too is that over time, Canada has developed a very positive attitude towards visitors. Canadians love visitors and we love international students. So the students come here and they can talk to strangers and strangers will help them find directions. There's lots of people who welcome them, students to stay at their home and treat them like family. So generally Canadians are very welcoming of the visitors, and part of that is because we're an immigrant society, we're multicultural. But I think also, if you're going to study abroad and go to Canada to study, one of the things they like about it is there's lots of really interesting, beautiful nature to see, lots of sightseeing. Especially where I live in Vancouver, we're very close to the Rocky Mountains, so a lot of students will travel to see the Northern Lights or the Rocky Mountains. There's some great sightseeing around here to do in addition to your study. Yeah. Because of course we can't study all day.
Right. I could see lots of picturesque places in Canada, and it's probably also one of the good reasons to really go there. So I know a lot of students who are really pursuing studying in Canada and later on migrate or work there. So what could be your best advice for those who are learning English just because they want to visit or they want to study in Canada, in your country?
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, please come. I think it's a good choice. We have great schools. We have great universities. And there's one other program that I think is really attractive. Canada's immigration policy is quite open. Of course, the government needs to check everyone for security reasons, but in general, we have a huge country and a small population, right? So we are a bigger land country than the US. The US has 350 million people living there. Canada has 33 million. It's like a big empty hotel.
Yeah.
So we want people to come and live here. So if a student comes here to study, maybe they go to a language school, take an exam, go to university here. If they do that, the government gives them a special visa where they can work for 3 years after school. And if they, graduate from school, if they have a job and they don't get into trouble, they can immigrate here. They can apply for permanent residence. So if a student comes here to study and then likes living here and makes friends and enjoys living here and wants to immigrate permanently to Canada, there's a really clear pathway. And if they don't, after school, they can go home, of course.
Yeah.
But that's a really good option. And in my experience, a lot of students do want to stay here and live here. So that's a very attractive feature. So my advice would be to, study hard, work hard, get a job, because that'll also help you practice your English.
You're right.
Make friends. But, in terms of learning English while you're in Canada, number one tip I would give is make friends. Canadians are easy to make friends with. They're outgoing, they're friendly. Generally, they're very helpful towards students. So make friends, get involved, join a club, do some activities, or get a job where you work with coworkers and make friends, because then you're practicing your English and maybe building a future if you want to stay and live here.
Absolutely.
So, the best way to learn English is to use it. Of course, I also believe you need to study, you need to read, you need to listen, you need to practice writing, you need to study grammar, you need to learn vocabulary. But all of that's garbage if you don't use it. So the best way to use it is to make friends and use language for normal activities. Hey, Janet, what do you want to do on Friday? Well, we could either go to the movie or we could go to a restaurant. Use your language to talk about, to communicate basic daily life things, right?
Exactly.
If a student is shy and they're not probably going to make friends like on the street or on the bus or at a cafe, then make use of school. You know the people that you go to school with every day. Practice your English with those people. They're safer. They're not so much strangers, and build on that. And that's where a school can be very, very helpful. I also think that a lot of people, let's say they're shy in their country, then they come to Canada and study English, and yes, it's challenging and they don't make a lot of friends, make a few friends or whatever. They may not realize, but when they go back, they're going to be different. Because even though it was uncomfortable, even though it was challenging, even though they didn't make 20 friends, maybe they connected with 2 or 3 people in school, that alone will have an impact on them. It's still better than nothing. It's still better than never having gone abroad. And they'll be a little less afraid. They'll be a little less hesitant to talk to people when they go back. That's hard for them to see, but other people can see it, right?
Right.
It's like when students tell you, oh, teacher Janet, I'm not improving. And you can clearly see their improvement.
Right.
Of course they are. They just can't see it because when you're looking at yourself improve, it's like looking in the mirror and waiting for your hair to grow.
Right.
Right? You can't see your hair growing. I certainly can't, but you can't, right? But if you take a picture and then take another picture after 3 months, you see the hair is longer.
Right.
So I think students are like that, right? They don't think they're improving or they don't think they're getting out of their shyness, but they are. They just can't notice it. Other people will notice it.
Right.
Or teachers, right?
Exactly. So people around them really can impact them in their learning process.
I think so.
Okay, well, actually, I think the advice, the pieces of advice that you gave, Teacher Paul, are useful for those who are planning to go to Canada or going to study in Canada, and they are really useful advice. So thank you very much. And
You're welcome.
yes, one last thing. What are your final message to our viewers who want to improve their English?
Well, the great advantage now is that we've learned through the pandemic crisis and challenge, we've learned how to teach each other online. And now there are so many great tools online. There's Zoom, there's YouTube, there are endless websites. There's lots of great teachers out there doing great things online. So even if you cannot travel, that doesn't mean you can't learn English. Okay, if you're in a country that doesn't have a lot of English, it is a challenge to speak it. But there's still groups you can join and chat with. And part of learning a language is getting the exposure. And there's lots of that available. You can watch movies, videos, teachers, everything online. So do lots of that. If you can't travel and you can't study with English speakers, or you can't practice English, use all the tools that are available. And you know, don't be afraid to read.
Yeah.
You can read a book anywhere, and that really helps you learn. Not only does it help you learn how to read, reading helps you learn how to speak, because you're seeing good sentences, and that goes into your thinking, and that can affect how you speak. So my sort of hard-boiled advice is learning a language is really difficult.
Right.
But that's not a reason to avoid it. Do it anyway, right? Do the hard work. Study, read, listen, watch videos, join live streams, get involved in Zoom conversation clubs. Do all that stuff, and little by little your language improves. And then when you're ready and it's possible, you know, travel and practice using your English, right? But number one thing is just don't give up. It takes a long time. It takes a lot of work. It's not easy, so don't expect magic easy results or magic easy solutions. You just got to be patient, right? And keep doing it. Keep going.
Yes, absolutely. It's process. It's a part of the process. Right, that's true. It doesn't happen overnight, so you really have to work hard on that.
That's right.
Yes. All right.
You.
Do you have anything to share? Do you have like things that we are going to expect on your channel? We'd love to know that.
Well, yeah, thanks for asking. I've got some new short form video series coming out called Hard-Boiled Grammar Basics and 5-minute mysteries, little 5-minute videos that explain questions that students ask me all the time, what I call English mysteries. Teacher, what's the difference between this and this? Right? For a student, these are mysteries.
Right.
So I enjoy solving those. So all that's happening. I also have a podcast that I co-host with two other great educators, John McGraw and Anish Daya. And that podcast is focused on English education for the Japanese in particular. The three of us share some connection with Japan, so we focus that podcast on the Japanese learner and their particular challenges and needs.
So guys, check out Hard-Boiled English. Teacher Paul will help you solve mysteries when it comes to learning English. And you can also join him live every Friday. He is giving free live English lessons just for all of you. And you have some questions and mysteries that you want to solve about English, ask Teacher Paul. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Yeah, it would be fun to help anyone.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Teacher Paul. I'm so glad to have you here in my channel.
Thank you.
I hope this is not the end of the road. And that's all for the ENGLISHERA Talks, and we'll see each other on your next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
So there we've got lots of information and pieces of advice from Teacher Paul on what we should consider before studying or working in Canada. Make sure that you subscribe to Teacher Paul's YouTube channel. That's Hard-Boiled English. The link is in the description box. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and share this video with your friends who are planning to study or work in Canada. We'll see each other again on the next ENGLISHERA Talks.